Hey everyone, this is Leija, and today I'm sharing another weekly process video of a spread that I did for the week of July 24th, I believe. So this is a look back at last week just so you can see it filled in. I added a little to-do list, sticky note on top of there. And this is where I, for the most part, start each of my weekly spreads. So I like to start by stamping the date up at the top, and that is a roller date stamp from the American Crafts DIY Shop 4. I mentioned it last week. I really like it because it has the actual day of the week and then also the date. So I go about stamping the date every day, and then that 8th box that I have a stamp that says randomness, which, yeah, pretty much that box there is pretty random. And then I go in and using one of my mild liners, I like to add just a little bit of color to the top there by highlighting, coloring in the weeks there, days, excuse me, there. And then usually I start my spreads by adding in some top priorities to every day. I like to just have two, because as I've mentioned before, not too terribly busy, so usually in a given day there's probably about one or two things that I definitely need to get done, and so I try to make sure that I write those down every week. Once I'm finished adding my top priorities lines, I look at my calendar and figure out what things are due for that specific week. So usually these are around design team assignments. Then I start embellishing and making, adding in appointments and various things. So you see that I stamped in this really awesome pink ink down at the bottom. I just really didn't like the impression. It looked really sloppy. So this is me covering it up. And how I did that was by stamping, first punching a circle out of white cardstock, and then just simply stamping on top of that punch circle and adhering it straight over top of the previous one that I felt was kind of a mistake. And it looks honestly just like a little sticker. I do this a lot when I've kind of messed up an impression or something like that. And so it's a really quick and easy fix to, especially when you have a circular element and you just happen to have a circle punch that's roughly the same size, it's really easy to correct that fix. And so we have family visiting us from Ohio this week, and I wanted to make sure that that was highly emphasized because this is only the second time they've ever visited in the 7-odd years that we've been here in Houston. So super excited that they're coming, and wanted to make sure that that was really heavily emphasized in this week's spread. Now I'm just going around and making sure to add in a few things that I need to clean up this week ahead of visitors arriving. And again, adding in any appointments or things that I definitely know that we're going to be doing. So we've made a dinner reservation at one of our favorite restaurants here in town, and so of course the reservation goes in there. Some things on my top priorities end up being stuff like groceries, which is very important, of course, but probably wouldn't register as top priorities in many people's lives because lots of people out there are way busier than I am. But this is my bin of planner stamps. So this is just the stuff that I have that I use for planners. And so I tend to flip through it just to see if I can add any little bits and bobs and odds and ends. I start, when I'm embellishing these weekly spreads, I start with just my stamps and my stamping. And I spend a lot of time going through all of the stamp sets and just adding little, like I said, bits and bobs around. And it's fun. It's like the #1 way I like to embellish these pages. And it's totally cuts down, and I get to choose the colors, and I just love it. I know that people are really into planner stamps. I just don't have a lot of planner stamps. So maybe if I start acquiring some, you'll see more in my projects. But for now, I have plenty of stamps that I'm using. And so I definitely want to utilize them as much as possible. Some of them are very strictly planner type stamps, and then these are just really cute ones with like phrases or hexagons, and this one says "cherish moments together," which is really perfect for making including in a spread about spending time with family. And now my stamping is done, so I'm going back through my sticker collection and adding in stickers and things. I like to add those little flags to days when I have something due, just to add more emphasis there. And I really like these kind of geotag looking stickers, and I've done it before, and I really like to add like a little heart on top of there too, just for more shaping, and just I think it's fun. And this is the finished spread. You'll see that I added just a bit of washi at the bottom there. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you taking your time to learn a little bit about my process for making weekly spreads in my bujo. You can find me at jamieleija.com or at jamiemakes on Instagram. Thanks!